To begin the webinar, first, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome and thank Consul General Zhao Jian, who has been a good friend of the U.S.-China Chamber of Commerce since he arrived in Chicago. He was so nice that in 2019, he hosted a private dinner at the Chinese consulate. So when I would like to show our deep appreciation, and under his leadership and the consul who heads of the commerce and consuls and their colleagues, we have been working with them to help U.S. and Chinese business to do business. And particularly in the pandemic, we have been able to help U.S. American people to get their emergency visa to go to China. And I would like to thank the Chicago consulate for their assistance and also the document on verification. So I would like to take this opportunity to welcome everybody to this webinar. It's so nice to meet some new friends and also to see some old friends online. As you know, our premier event, the U.S.-China Trade Conference, have been postponed because in my heart, I believe that in-person conference is much more meaningful than online. So we are going to postpone until next year. And I hope every one of you will join us. It is one of the most premier events about U.S.-China business and also a perfect opportunity to do the networking. And we are looking forward to celebrating the upcoming Chinese New Year. If you know the Chinese culture, this year on a historical basis is difficult because it's the year of the Ganzi. Ganzi year have been turbulence for many decades. 60 years ago, there was bad weather create a very difficult situation for people around the world when it comes to food. 120 years ago, the world was very hostile. People were fighting each other. And I'm sure that the curse of the Ganzi is going to be over. And I look forward to a year full of joy and prosperity. So, and I would like to take this moment to welcome Consul General Zhao Jian to say a few words. Thank you very much, Consul General.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Yan. It's my great pleasure to join friends from the business community today. Very nice to meet Mr. Jon Tabor, who has just returned from China on business tours. And I think it's very important to let the wider business community to get to know the China-US relationship and get to know the business environment in China. But today, this year is a very special year with the COVID-19 still raging in many parts of the world. I think in the past year, we have also experienced a lot in China-US relationship. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And we have experienced a lot in the past year for China-US relationship. But I think the COVID-19 has reminded us once again that we are all living in a community with a shared future. No single country can stay immune to this major crisis in the world. And the solidarity and cooperation are the most important thing that we should keep in mind in today's world. Next year will mark the 50th anniversary of the visit to China, the first visit to China by Dr. Kissinger. And it's over the past more than 40 years since China and the US established diplomatic relations, we have seen tremendous growth of this relationship in areas of economy, trade, the education, people-to-people exchanges. And this is a very important relationship. And both countries, both peoples have benefited greatly from this relationship. And I think we have all come to the very important conclusion that our two great countries need to work together to create even better future for the people in our two countries and also for the people in the world. And it's really unimaginable. It's really unimaginable if that our two countries were dragged into confrontation and conflicts. And actually, there have been wide-ranging common interest for our two countries as known by the business community in our two countries. And what I want to say that our two countries, both countries stand to gain from cooperation and would lose from confrontation. And I think we really want to see a smooth development of the country-to-country relationship. We want to see the continued strengthening and deepening of the economic cooperation between our two sides. And another thing, the second thing I want to say is that China means really very great opportunity. We will stay committed to the path of peaceful development, to the path of win-win cooperation. We will stay committed to the path of reform and opening up. We will work harder to create even better business environment for the business community. China has accelerated the reform and opening up endeavors across the board. Actually, the foreign investment law and its implementation regulations comes into effect. The items on the national negative list for foreign investment have been further cut to like 33 and down to 30 for the pilot free trade zones. A master plan has been drawn up for the development of the Hainan Free Trade Port, and we have held successfully the International Import-Expo in the past 3 years. And we are also knowing that there are more than 70,000 American businesses operating in China, and in last year, all these American companies operating in China achieved a sales revenue of more than $700 billion and with a profit of more than $50 billion. That really has shown the great potential and the great strength of economic cooperation between our two sides. The third point I want to make is that China will open even wider to the international community, to the business community. We have set out to foster a new development paradigm with domestic circulation as the mainstay and domestic and international circulations reinforcing each other. Our purpose is to vigorously expand the domestic demand and form deeper and broader connections between domestic and international circulations. So this will actually provide even greater market opportunities for the world and broaden the space for the international cooperation. This will also open up new dimensions in China's win-win strategy of opening up and speed up the process towards a new, higher standard open economy in China. And China will work hard to continue to implement the phase 1 trade agreement between the two sides, which has been a very important achievements in our two countries' relationship in the past year. Of course, we have imported a very large amount of agricultural produces, but the phase 1 trade agreement means a lot of things, not only for agricultural products, but actually means also a lot for the intellectual property protection, means a lot for the structural reforms in China. And China we now focus on a new development paradigm. This paradigm really emphasizes quite a lot on innovation. Innovation means that the Chinese people need to work harder. Innovation, the focus on innovation also means that we will work harder to protect the international, the intellectual property, means the hard work to protect and encourage innovation, to protect the rights of the Chinese businesses, but also the foreign investors in China. So in that regard, we really believe that the Phase 1 trade agreement means a lot for the business communities of our two countries, and the continued development of this relationship will mean really a lot of more opportunities for all of us. So I really hope that in the coming new year, in the coming years, both Chinese people and American people would work harder to further strengthen the exchanges between the two sides, to work for the smooth and healthy development of this relationship, which will mean even greater opportunities for the business people from our two countries. So today, really, I really hope and I believe that Mr. Jon Tabor's sharing of his story and his experience in China would provide a very important, like some of the background, some of the information to our friends in Midwest, and we really welcome more business people to China, which is really a very great opportunity. And also, we hope that there would be more two-way exchanges between the business communities of our two countries. And once again, I want to thank the U.S.-China Chamber of Commerce for their hard work, for their contribution to the promotion of the economic and trade cooperation between our two sides. And I want to thank all the friends who have been supporting and contributing to the business relationship and to the friendship between our two countries. I want to wish you all a very happy New Year and a very happy Chinese New Year. And next year will be the year of ox, means really a very good thing, I think, for the business communities, and wish you all a very prosperous New Year. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Consul General. I understand everybody is anxious to hear John's trip and also his reason for expanding into China at this moment. But I would like to ask you for just a couple of minutes. I 100% concur with Consul General. 20 years ago, when we were hosting our gala dinner, the late President George Herbert Walker Bush, and you know that, and he was the older brother of founder Prescott Bush. So, and President Bush once said, U.S.-China relationship is the single most important bilateral relationship in the world. A healthy relationship will determine not only how we live today, but how we live in the future, our future generation. Then he continued to say, when I look over to the other side of the ocean, there is so much misunderstanding between the people. The only way for us to bridge the gap is for everybody who sit around here to continue to do business so that the quality of life of people will improve, and then everything will fall into the right place. We have the video. I am going to make it to digitize the video, and we will post and share with everybody. That is a collectible item. It was recorded 20 years ago. So I would like to turn over the floor to John, but let me, and we don't have a lot of time, so I'm not going to read your bio, John, and they can read in the email. John is a salesman by heart, but I talked to John when I was a banker. Whoever can write the check has the power. But when it comes to business, whoever can sell means the most important thing in the company. The way that John in U.S.-China Chamber got connected was when he needed a visa to go to China. He talked to many people, they didn't John. So he comes, if you follow all the steps, we will be able to get you a visa. He said that he needed to go to China urgently. I got the email and got questions from people and say, what are you talking about? Dr. Fauci told people not to travel. And John was going on the plane for 15 hours or even 20 something hours transferred to go to China. That's how we got connected. And I told John, I want you to share your experience so anybody who traveled to China would know what you had gone through. But I also want to know why you wanted to invest in China, because probably John Investment is the only one in Busan this year. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome John, Chairman and CEO of Allied Material, which is a global company, and John will tell you more about the company. Please, John.
Thank you very much, 𝐓𝐀𝐁𝐋𝐄. As 𝐓𝐂�eh𝐶 said, I went to China for a month in October. Normally, I would travel to China 4 or 5 times per year. I was there in January, and of course, hadn't been back since. We do a lot of business in China. We've made many investments in China. China is a very investment-friendly country for us. We've had excellent experience there in the more than 20 years that we've been there. And it was very important that I went back to reconnect with all of the people that we have there, but also because we're right at the beginning stages of making an additional investment in China, and there were just some things that had to be done that I had to do in order to move that investment forward. So I was very glad to get there. I had a very excellent trip. And maybe I'll start my presentation just by saying that going to China, it was a process that was pretty well laid out. My first surprise was at the airport in Detroit when I had to fill out a form, and I had to first download WeChat on my phone, and I had to scan a few QR codes. And at 63 years old, I hadn't done a lot of these things before, and I had to do them in a hurry. But the plane ride to China was without incident. We landed in Shanghai. I had a COVID test at the airport. There was just a process of getting through the airport. That took a few hours, and then we got on a bus. We traveled to the hotel. That was about an hour-long trip to the hotel. We arrived at the hotel, and after checking in, we actually checked in outside the hotel. After checking in, I was escorted to my room by a very friendly young woman and dressed from head to toe in PPE. And she said, "Enjoy your stay," shut the door, and that was where I spent the next 14 days. And so I've not been in quarantine before. I certainly have not stayed in one room before for 14 days. I was glad that I had plenty of work to do. I was glad I had an iPad to watch movies and just things to keep myself busy, because if I think in the time that I was in that room, I probably walked a total of 500 steps, and in a normal day at work, I probably walked 4,000 or 5,000 steps. So it was a very interesting experience to go through at 63 years of age. But I've got to say the process was very professional. It was very well done. I was not uncomfortable at all. And at the end of 14 days, we went down the elevator. They basically checked us out, and I was free to go. And I flew from Shanghai to Tianjin without incident. I did wear a mask on the airplane and in the airport. But once I arrived in Tianjin and I was outside, no more mask. And I went to the hotel. I used the gym for the first time in 14 days. I drank draft beer that night for the first time in 14 days. And then I had a very normal set of business meetings and different meetings within my company while I was there. We had a board meeting while I was there. My colleagues in the US joined that meeting by a Teams platform, Microsoft Teams. And then at the end of the week and a half in Tianjin, we flew to Guangzhou, and we drove to Foshan, and then we went to Zhejiang City, where we are in the process of making an additional investment. We bought about 7.5 acres of land in Zhejiang City, and we're in the process now of designing and within a few months should begin building our latest new plant in China. I had a very good trip to Zhejiang City. The officials there were extremely helpful in helping us to buy this piece of land. Buying land is not always easy in China, but we had no issues buying the land in Zhejiang City. Land rights are very secure in China, so we really have no concerns, have never had any concerns about our investments there. And so I would say to any of you considering travel to China, China's open for business, and there are some protections that you have to deal with before you get there as far as COVID, with a quarantine and with COVID testing. But once you're on the ground in China, it's really business as normal now. And so it was a very, very successful trip. I would like to just describe a little bit about Allied's history in China. There we go. So Allied Mineral, this is a picture of Allied Mineral Products in Columbus, Ohio. We're based in Columbus. We started in 1961, and these are our global headquarters. We were, as I said, started in 1961. We're an employee-owned company, and what they call an ESOP. We have very little debt. We have about 900 employees worldwide. We have employees living in 25 countries. We manufacture in 8 countries. We have a total of 12 manufacturing plants, 5 plants with precast shapes capability. We have 2 research and technology centers, one in the United States and one in China. And we sell our products in more than 130 countries worldwide. This is a picture of Allied's global footprint. The ladles, ladle is a trademark of Allied Mineral Products. And the orange ladles are the places where we have manufacturing. And the 2 black outlined ladles are places where we have license agreements with another company that manufactures our products. Our history in China began in the early 1990s. We began to sell there. In 1994, we hired a young man, a Chinese national who was going to school here in the United States. We hired him as a salesman to develop the China market for us. And in 1999, when we made our first investment in China, he moved back to China as our general manager. So we began manufacturing in Tianjin in 1999 in a leased facility. So we opened our own facility in Tianjin in 2004. We bought land, opened our own facility. We expanded that facility in 2007. In 2011, we opened up a facility in Foshan in South China. That was a leased facility. We did not buy that building. In 2012, we purchased a building immediately to our north of our current facility in Tianjin so we could expand our operations there. In 2019, we opened up a second facility in Tianjin, located about 4 kilometers from our current facility. In 2020, we renovated and expanded the facility that we had purchased in 2012. And as of this time in 2020, we have purchased land to build an owned facility near Foshan, actually in Zhejiang City, which we plan to open in 2022. So this is a picture of our facility in Tianjin. You can see 3 different buildings here. The first building that has the dark roof, that's our phase 1 facility that we opened in 2004. The long white rectangular building or roof line that's attached is the expansion we had in 2007. And the rectangular building, the triangular building you see at the very back, that's the building that we purchased in 2012 and then renovated recently in 2020. So this facility is in Foshan. It's a leased facility, and it's the facility that we will move from into an owned facility here in about a year and a half. So this is the new facility we just opened up about 4 kilometers from Tianjin. This is our most modern and probably our cleanest facility worldwide. It's interesting that our cleanest and most efficient facilities are not in the United States; they're actually in China. And this facility is very efficient and very clean. This is the land that we bought. We've actually made our first down payment in Zhejiang City. This was an old industrial complex that's being renovated by the local government. And this is the piece of land that we bought to build our new plant. At this moment, when we took this picture, there was a building on this property. As of today, that land is ready for us to build on, and we plan to begin driving pilings probably in about 4 months. This is just a rough idea of what our plant will look like on that land, but with manufacturing systems, warehouse space, and some small offices. The land's about, as I said, the land's about 7.5 acres, or about 3 hectares. And this is a recent picture of our. Actually, this picture was just taken a few months ago. These are our employees in Tianjin. So the only non-Tianjin employee there is me, and you can probably figure out which one I am in that group. But we have a group of very dedicated, very innovative employees in China. Many people have asked me, why would we invest in China? And China is we committed to begin to investing in China back in 1999. And our chairman at the time had a very long-term vision that China had a lot of people, had a lot of demand over time, and was an excellent place to begin to do business. And we were very warmly greeted on making our initial investments in China. And really, our experience in China has been almost completely excellent. We've had some bumps along the way, but we've always operated cleanly. We've never offered any bribes or tried to do anything in an unethical way. We've always had clean and safe facilities. We've always treated our employees with respect. We have no expats in China. I mean, our general manager of our Chinese facility is from Beijing, and my feeling has always been that a Chinese general manager knows 1,000 times more about managing a Chinese workforce than I ever would. And that same thing is true whether we're talking about our plant in India or the Netherlands or South Africa. Wherever we manufacture without expats. And that has worked extremely well for us. We also have very good relationships with the local government. They've been very helpful. They were very helpful in Zhejiang City in buying this land. They've been very helpful in Tianjin with our new plant, with our expansions at our current plant. And during the beginnings of the pandemic, when some of our raw material suppliers who were not located in our area could not ship to us because they were still closed, the local government was very helpful in talking to the local government near where these raw material suppliers were based and encouraging them to speed the process by which these raw material suppliers could reopen. And so our relationships with the government in China have also been very favorable. And we find that if we operate cleanly and safely and pay our taxes on time, that the experience in China is really excellent. And in China, you follow the rules, just like you would if you're in the United States. You follow the rules here. If you're in China, you follow the rules there. And so we've been very pleased with that investment. So Steve, those are the only prepared remarks.
I'm sorry?
I said those are really the only prepared remarks that I had. I can answer any questions or.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask John a couple of questions, and we'll open up the floor. Now, in the last, and I've been running the chamber for 20 years. initially everybody was talking about globalization. But in the last couple of years, we have seen a reverse trend. People beginning to do the insourcing. How would that impact your business, and what do you see?
Well, we've always been very aggressive on expanding overseas. We started as a U.S. company back in 1961, but we began to export in the 1970s. And globalization for us has been something that's happened around us, but it's something that we were already focused on years before most other people. And so we expanded into our first overseas investment was in South Africa in 1998. Our next overseas investment was in China in 1999. We moved into the Netherlands, and then we moved into India. Recently, we moved into Russia, Brazil, Chile. I mean, these are all places where if you want to do business locally, you need to manufacture locally. And so the reason we originally moved to China was not to export. We moved to China to supply the Chinese market. And we have found that our Chinese customers want the same things as our US customers. They want innovative products, they want new solutions, they want service, they want consistent quality. I mean, really, the formula for success in China is very similar to the formula to success here in the US.
I have two questions for you. Are they paying the same price that your US company are paying in America? And second, a lot of US company got burned because the Chinese company become more mature, become their competitor, and then they do the reverse engineering. Are your competitor from US or from China? So in basically question, what price they are paying? In second,
the answer to the first question is they pay prices that are very similar to what our customers in the US pay. And that we sell on value, and we sell on value whether we're here, in China, in India, it makes no difference where we are. But the second question is really interesting because for some years when we were in China, when we would talk about our competition, we would talk about Western competition. Who were the people that we competed with globally outside of China, and how were we competing with them inside China? But over the last 5 or 10 years, our focus has really been on Chinese domestic competitors, because these are the companies that are very aggressive and very innovative, and they're the ones that they've seen our success and they want to participate in it. And so for us, the secret to success, to continuing success in China, is to continue to develop and introduce new products and new solutions into the market. And that's one reason why we have an R&D, a research and technology center in Tianjin, so that we can speed new products and new solutions to market faster. And in that way, we're able to stay ahead of most of our Chinese competitors.
Two more questions. On the research and development, how do you compare your Chinese staff with the US? Number two, how much protection you feel you are able to have on your product? Would reverse engineering by the Chinese hurt your business?
Well, on the answer to the first question, our Chinese scientists are just as smart as the scientists we have here. I mean, good people you can find good people regardless of where you go. And we have found some excellent people in China. And they have a very collaborative effort with their colleagues back here in the States. There's a lot of communication that goes back and forth. And so we have a very good staff in China. We have a very good staff in the United States. The equipment that we use in China, the different equipment that we use to do our research is the same equipment that we have here in the States. So if we have a machine here that's made in the United States, that same machine is used in China. If we have a machine in China that's made in China, we have that same machine here at our lab in Columbus. And so we try to make sure that we have the same equipment and we run the same procedures so that we get the same results regardless of whether we're doing the testing in China or doing the testing here. So I would rate, we have two excellent technology centers, and I would rate them both number one. And working together, they're better than number one. And on the IP protection side, we have a very robust technology protection program on a global basis. And so not only is this technology protection program, not only does it exist in China or in the US, it exists wherever we manufacture product. And so I would say that our experience with losing IP, because that's a concern of a lot of companies, that experience for us has really been no different in China than it has been in the US or anywhere else in the world. You need to have a robust technology protection program, but if you have a robust program, your business is as safe in China as it is in the US. That's been our experience.
We have some questions from the floor, from the audience. Jim of Mattress Flags asked two questions. The first question is, let me make sure that I read right. Did you choose the hotel that you are and that you were required to quarantine?
No, that was chosen
for the hotel for you.
No, I had heard a rumor. I had heard a rumor that there was a choice of 3 hotels: a cheap one, a medium priced one, and a high priced one. But that was fake news. There was one hotel. If you were, for me, there was one hotel. It was this 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐓𝐄𝐍𝐓𝐒 hotel. And it was, it was not a 5-star hotel, but it was the same as a 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐓𝐄𝐍𝐓𝐒 hotel that I would have stayed in when I'm in Europe. It was very comfortable. I mean, the hotel was not a concern. It was a very comfortable place to stay.
When you came back to America, did you have any problems?
Zero. In fact, I was very surprised. I arrived back in the States in Seattle, and if I had flown from Spokane to Seattle, there would not have been any more scrutiny than flying from. I actually flew from Shanghai to Seoul and from Seoul to Seattle. So no, there were no issues whatsoever. I had to wear a mask, of course, when I got back. There were no problems coming through immigration. I mean, it was like any other business trip.
So, related question, Robert Shea asked you how long did it take for you to get your visa, and I think you were trying to advertise for me how U.S.-China Chamber of Commerce had helped you.
Well, with all sincerity, I think without the U.S.-China Chamber of Commerce and 𝐂𝐍𝐓𝐄𝐍𝐓𝐒, I don't think I would have gotten my visa. It was just the process was, I won't say it was complicated, but there were a lot of steps, and they made those steps very easy to follow. And so it took the total time probably was a couple of months, maybe 3 months from the time that I started getting my information together until the time I had my visa. But really, there's a list of things you need. And as you get those things, and once you have all those things and you send them to the chamber, at that point, from the time that 𝐂𝐍𝐓𝐄𝐍𝐓𝐒 had my information until the time I had my visa, I think was maybe 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. It wasn't that long.
In less than that.
Yeah, it was really
3 weeks. Yeah.
The next time I hope to go back to China in May. I'm assuming I'm going to have to quarantine again, and I'll start the process to get that visa probably in February.
Well, Jim asked a question: does he need a new visa? You can keep your 10-year, but you need a temporary emergency visa to go to China. But let me move to a different question. Thomas asked that is, what other business opportunity that you believe U.S. companies should consider? And it's a very broad question, other than the industry that you are in, because when you travel around the world, what other business opportunity, and other than your core business, that you think U.S. companies should look into?
Our philosophy has always been, go where the people are. And so you can either, in China has 1.5 billion people. There's a lot of demand there. And if it's not here today, it's going to be here tomorrow. And so I guess, go to where the people are, and also, realize that, I lost my train of thought. Realize that the opportunity is within the country you're selling to. And so I don't, as I said before, the vast majority, more than 90% of what we manufacture in China, we sell in China. And I think that's the recipe for success. Produce product in China for China, and produce innovative products in China for China. If you try to go over and compete with the Chinese competitor on price, you won't win that battle. You have to go in and you have to create value. And Chinese people are no different than any other people. They like innovation and they'll pay for value. I mean, people are people. So I would say invest in China because there's a lot of people there and a lot of demand. But make sure that you have an innovation strategy to be successful.
When you talk about innovation, we have an audience ask the question. Let me see. Do your staff in China, they speak good English, understand the technical term from the language perspective?
That's a good question. I would say, we have about 300 people working in China, maybe a few more. And I would say maybe less than 5% speak English well. And I'd say maybe 10 to 15% speak some English. And so I can communicate with 15 to 20% or 30% of our employees in China. And I can speak with a few of them, maybe there's 5%, I can speak at a normal communication pace. I had a conversation this morning. I called our general manager in Tianjin, and I got up at 3 o'clock and called him. China's plus 13 hours right now. And he and I had a very normal conversation, normal speed conversation with no issues. But his English is excellent. And I would say we have 3, 4, 5% people in China that have that type of English. Most of our people there, if you want to communicate with them well, you communicate in Chinese. And I don't speak Chinese, but I have several, as I said, several people there that speak excellent Chinese, and that's who does that communication. It's interesting, though, you don't have to speak a language to understand what people are saying. And I've traveled overseas for 25 or 30 years now, and I've taken part in a lot of conversations in foreign languages that I don't understand. And so what I've learned to do is I've learned to listen with my eyes, and I've learned to watch people to try to understand what their heart is saying. And that may sound very unbusinesslike, but it's really very true that you can tell if a person is happy, sad, if they're agreeing or not agreeing. You can tell a lot by watching people versus actually understanding exactly what they say.
So when you talk about the employee, James Wilson, now he's in Shenyang. I want to mention people who register for this event have people from France, from China, from Hong Kong, certainly United States and some other countries. So we are grateful that the webinar allows us to reach out to people around the world. And Jim have a question about the ESOP. I talked to you yesterday. The company is ESOP. Do you offer stock ownership to your overseas employees?
That's a really good question. An ESOP basically works with deferral of taxes, and it's much more complicated than that. But in order for it to work, the government has to be favorable towards deferred payment of tax. And so an ESOP, for instance, the contribution that the company makes into the ESOP goes into my account, and that value is not taxed. It's not taxed until I retire and until I begin to draw that money out. In all other countries, that type of deferred tax status for contributions is not recognized. And so the ESOP does not work in countries where we have a physical investment, an investment in we call it bricks and mortar, where we have a plant investment. So in the countries where we produce, in China, in India, in the Netherlands, in South Africa, in Russia, in those countries, our employees are not members of the 𝐓𝐿. However, we have employees living in 20 other countries, salespeople and service people living in places like Korea, Mexico, Argentina, Egypt, other countries like that. Those employees are part of the 𝐓𝐿 because we don't have a bricks and mortar investment. And that really is the key. We actually started out, when we started our business in China, our first employees were part of the 𝐓𝐿. And when we went to make an investment, that's when we found out that the government at that time did not allow that deferred tax treatment of the wealth that these guys were having created for them by the 𝐓𝐿. So the answer is no if we have an investment in that country, but yes if we have an employee in a country without a physical investment.
Jim have a question is, how do you protect your interests from your employee from stealing the trade secret, hiring the people? Do you have a non-compete or similar agreement in China?
We do have non-competes, but the non-competes come with a lot of conditions. And so generally speaking, they're not that robust. And so we hire honest people. We have good management. We don't tell everything to everybody. We protect our secrets. As I said, we have a robust intellectual property program, technology program, a protection program, and that has worked for us. I mean, certainly we have had some salesmen leave Allied and start their own company or go to work for a competitor. But again, the speed at which we try to introduce new products and new solutions kind of makes what they know antiquated within a very short time after they're gone. And so our innovation process, our development process protects us from people who take technology, because by the time they go to use that technology with a competitor, our technology has changed.
Right. Everybody talk about innovation. Certainly, Allied is a big company, but innovation is easy to talk, but difficult to achieve. How would you advise company with less resources to innovate?
Well, from an international perspective, I've got a really good answer for that. And it's a lesson that we have learned. Americans, at least Americans in this company, historically have a habit of not invented here. And I think most of you understand what that means, that if it's not invented, we're a Columbus, Ohio company. If it's not invented in Columbus, it was not invented. And so with our foreign affiliates, when we first start these companies up in different countries, our affiliate employees are very eager to learn, and they absorb and they learn and they do things the way we do them here. But then over time, they come up with solutions that are better than they come up with some solutions that are better than the solutions that we have here. And innovation really starts when I say the teacher is willing to become the student. When we're willing to learn that a solution that was created in Tianjin is better than the solution that we have here, or a solution that was created in the Netherlands was better than the solution that we had here. And really, that innovation creates a lot of synergy. That we have people from 25 different countries that work for us, and therefore we think in 25 different languages. And the more languages you can think in, the more innovative you can be. And so I would say that for a small company, you have to learn to listen to people that are maybe outside the immediate circle, but especially on the international front, you have to listen to your international employees and be willing to become the student instead of always being the teacher.
I want to make a comment is we are running behind schedule, but we still have a larger interest in questions. So we are going to continue, but if you need to leave for some other appointment, please feel free to do that. This webinar is being recorded. It will be posted, and then you can also watch on demand. But before that, and I would like to mention two things. We have postponed our premier event trade conference. And Mr. Chow, the president of UL, have been very supportive, and he will be the co-chair for this year, but postpone next year trade conference. And also Yishan from Plain Moran will also be a co-chair as well. And Eric Rock would probably become a co-chair, so I will send you information. The second thing is, and I would like to show my appreciation to Bob Kraft, chairman of First Pathway. First Pathway is an immigration investment company. Bob is also the chairman of Invest USA Association. And Bob has brought in millions of dollars of investment from China and created hundreds of jobs in USA. So we are honored that Bob has joined us to be a board of directors and right now is advisor. So we are going to do some of the organization, and Bob and I would work together to help to get more support. So, and I would like to thank Bob for joining us. So we are going to continue, but if you need to leave, please feel free to do that. And you can always come back to watch the video on demand. And would like to take this opportunity to thank Consul General Zhao Jian and Consul Hu and Consul Sun and everybody at the Chinese Consulate for their support. We will also encourage all of you here to continue to work with us. And we are going to continue. And once again, please feel free to leave if you need to. And thank you very much. And let me continue. Jim have a question is, you open up your business 20 years in China, as China expanded. Does that help you to expand to some other region?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Stephen.
Right, and the question is, you have been operating in China for 20 years almost. Does your operation in China help you to expand into some other country as well?
Well, from a profit standpoint, absolutely. I mean, our operation in China is profitable, and those profits do help us make investments in other countries. So, absolutely.
So, in attendee, he did not tell his name. He asked you is, how do you have any difficulty in sending the money back to the United States that you earn in China?
No, we have. That's fake, more fake news. We've never had an issue bringing money back. You know, you do pay a 10% tax when you send it back, and so it does. You pay a dividend tax, and you have to have a board resolution, and then you just have to plan when you're going to send the money back. But we, at our board meeting each year, we determine how much of the profits we want to send back to the U.S. and we fill out the proper forms, and then we make those transfers during the next year. It has never been a problem.
Well, and I have another question. In the chamber, it's not just to promote business. We also help professional entrepreneurs in their career. Once when people get involved in international business, most of them would love to continue to be involved. With the pandemic and a large issue in globalization, many of them are looking for opportunities. So from your perspective, you are hiring local people. Do you have any advice, since you travel around the world, 25 countries, do you have any advice for professional or entrepreneurs who want to stay in the international business in their career?
Well, I think that growth overseas will always be more significant than growth in the States, just because it's a bigger place. I mean, there's much more. The U.S. economy is responsible for a certain percentage of the global economy, But regardless of how big that percent is, the percentage outside the United States is bigger. And so the opportunities for someone willing to travel internationally, willing to sacrifice, because there's a lot of time you spend away from home and family. There's a lot of things you miss. But if you're willing to do that, you can be successful. And there's a lot of companies that are interested in finding people like you. So it's international is, I didn't have a passport until 1996. I received my first passport in 96. I think I have my fourth or fifth passport now. And I've traveled before 1996. I had been to Canada, but since 1996, I've been to 70 countries. And you know, it's difficult to find people that are willing to do that.
We are already 11:03. I'm going to ask one more question, and we will close out the webinar. Do you think China continue to be the country for allied material to make investment? Or you are looking for Southeast Asia like Vietnam, Philippines, or even the Middle East and Africa?
You know, we will make investments. We already have after we finish this plant in Zhejiang City, we already know what our next investment's going to be in China. So we already have another investment planned for 2022. It's a smaller investment, several $1 million, but we have our next investment plan. And, you know, as the demand grows in China, we'll build more capacity. We have 100% confidence in China. At the same time, we have plans to expand internationally to other countries. And we know, I won't reveal where those places are, but we do have other locations globally where we want to make investments. This past year, we expanded our plant in the Netherlands. Actually, we just got done with that expansion in September. It was our second expansion there. We built a new plant in the United States in 2019. We built a new plant in China in 2019. You know, we continue to make capital investments in our different facilities. You know, we're very bullish on China. Again, for manufacturing, for consumption in China. But if we want to supply a market in Central Africa, we would build a plant in Central Africa to do that.
Well, thank you very much. And I would like to thank John, Chairman and CEO of Allied Material, a global company, for sharing with us his trip to China and his strategy and his experience in China. Would also like to thank our good friends at the Chinese Consulate in Chicago, led by the Consul General Zhao Jian and the Commerce Consul Hu. And thank you so much. If you have any other question, please feel free to send it to me. The video will be available on demand as well as on our website, and we continue to have more programs. And once again, if you have any issue about traveling, getting visa, document authentication, doing business in China, or even personal, professional development, please contact us. And thank you very much. We appreciate your time. Thank you. And
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Wonderful job, John. And thank you so much, Consul General.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, my pleasure. Nice to meet you both.
Thank you.